Have you ever heard of the meaning of numbers on a spiritual level? The number 4 is one of the numbers which, according to Buddhist wisdom, and not only, has very profound symbolic and mystical implications. The 4 has, in fact, a profound connection with the spiritual growth, inner peace, and prosperity of each of us. In this video, thanks to a Zen story, we will discover what happens if you write the number 4 on a sheet of paper and put it under your pillow. Very interesting to discover the ritual linked to numbers, a ritual that has significant power if you repeat it with consistency and awareness. So stay connected with us until the end of the video to explore together the power and wisdom of the number 4 and consequently, to make the most of the potential of this practice. But before continuing, subscribe to the channel and activate notifications so that you are informed when we publish new content useful for your spiritual journey. In the Japanese mountains, immersed in a forest of blossoming cherry trees, stands an ancient monastery where the venerated Master Akihito lives. The fame of this spiritual wisdom attracted pilgrims from every corner of the country and the world, eager to receive his teachings. One day, a group of pilgrims arrived at the monastery. Among them was Akiko, a young woman tormented by existential questions. She had recently lost her father, to whom she was extremely close, and felt lost, without direction in life. Welcomed kindly by Master Akihito, the pilgrims sat in the Zen garden, surrounded by the inebriating scent of flowers and the singing of birds. The master, with his serene gaze and welcoming smile, began a lesson that would leave a great lesson to each of the pilgrims. My dears, today I would like to talk to you about a number that contains profound spiritual wisdom, the number 4. You must know that 4 is not just any number because it represents the 4 noble truths or the foundation of Buddhism. Akihito explained how the first noble truth, dukkha or suffering, was the intrinsic reality of human existence. The second noble truth, samudaya, was the cause of suffering, the desire for attachment and impermanence. The third noble truth, nirvana, indicated the cessation of suffering, attainable through the path of enlightenment. And the fourth noble truth, magga, was the path leading to the cessation of suffering, the eightfold path. Right understanding, right thought, right speech, right action, right living, right effort, right vigilance, and right concentration. But 4, the master continued, also symbolizes the 4 pillars of morality, the ethical basis of Buddhist life. Refrain from killing, refrain from stealing, refrain from sexual misconduct, and refrain from false words. Akihito told the pilgrims how the 4 pillars of morality created fertile ground for spiritual growth, promoting mental well-being and emotional balance. By following these principles, he said, we can cultivate compassion, kindness, and wisdom, essential elements for spiritual awakening. Furthermore, the master continued, the number 4 represents the 4 directions, north, south, east, and west. Each of these directions symbolizes an aspect of the spiritual path. The north represents discipline, the south represents compassion, the east represents wisdom, and the west represents love. The elderly and wise monk explained that to progress on the spiritual path, it was necessary to develop these 4 qualities in a balanced way. Just as a tree needs strong roots, a sturdy trunk, branches that reach toward the sky, and leaves that absorb sunlight, Akihito continued, so the spiritual seeker needs discipline, compassion, wisdom, and love to grow and achieve enlightenment. While the pilgrims listened very carefully to their mentor's explanations, the master added another important meaning of this number. The number 4 also represents the 4 stages of awakening. These stages symbolize the gradual path of liberation from mental impurities and the attainment of perfect wisdom. Master Akihito's words resonated in Akiko's heart like a celestial melody. In that moment, he understood that the number 4 was not just a simple number, but a key to decipher the mysteries of existence and to embark on a path of spiritual and personal growth. Master, how can we make the number 4 lead us to the path of serenity, inner peace, and prosperity? The young woman asked, full of hope. The monk, smiling, replied, here's what you have to do. Take a sheet of paper and write the number 4 using red ink. Then put that sheet under your pillow and keep it there with you. But remember, for this ritual to work, it is not enough to keep the sheet under the pillow. You must go beyond the symbolism, committing yourself to living in a healthy and conscious way. In the following days, thanks to the master's words, Akiko spent time meditating and reflecting on the teachings she had learned. Thanks to the words of the mentor she had trusted, she began to see her life from a different perspective, with greater awareness and acceptance. And one night, Akiko had a vivid and prophetic dream. He dreamed of finding himself in a field of flowers under a starry sky. In the distance, she saw a luminous figure who smiled at her and said, Akiko, your journey has just begun. Follow the light of the number 4, and you will find the peace and joy you seek. Waking up, Akiko felt deeply shaken by her dream. The words of the luminous figure still resonated in her mind and gave her new hope. Determined to follow her destiny, she went to the monastery again to ask Master Akihito for advice. The master welcomed her with a warm smile and after listening to her story said to her, Akiko, your dream is a sign that you are on the right path. The number 4 will guide you on your spiritual path, but remember that the real journey is within you. Learn to look inside yourself and you will discover your true nature. Akiko followed Master's advice and began to meditate with even greater dedication. Soon, he began to experience states of profound peace and serenity. He felt he was getting closer and closer to the truth. And one day, while meditating under a blossoming cherry tree, Akiko had a mystical experience that changed her life forever. In a moment of enlightenment, he understood the true nature of reality and its connection to all living things. From that moment on, the young woman became a source of inspiration to those around her. He shared his wisdom and compassion with everyone he met, helping them find their own path to happiness and spiritual awakening. So one day, Akiko decided to leave the monastery and travel around Japan, spreading the teachings of Buddhism and inspiring people to embark on their own spiritual path. In every village he visited, he told the story of the number 4 and explained how this symbol could help them find peace and joy in their lives. The words of Akiko, who became known as the woman of number 4, touched people's hearts and many converted to Buddhism. The number 4 became a symbol of hope and enlightenment for many people, who began to follow the ancient ritual of writing the number 4 on a sheet of paper and keeping it under their pillow. When Akiko was now old, she retired to a small hermitage in the mountains. She spent her days meditating and praying, at peace with herself and with the whole world. One day, he called his disciples to him and said to them, "My time on this earth is coming to an end, but do not fear, for my wisdom will remain with you forever. Follow the teachings that I have passed on to you, and you will find the peace and joy you seek." With that said, Akiko closed her eyes and fell asleep forever. His disciples mourned his death, but they knew that his legacy of wisdom and inspiration would live on through the ages. But what does Akiko's story teach us? It teaches us that the number 4 is not just a simple number, but a powerful symbol that embodies the profound wisdom of Buddhism. His spiritual journey reminds us that we can all achieve liberation from suffering and experience the lasting joy of enlightenment. Akiko's story ends with an invitation to all of us. Follow the light of number 4. But what exactly does this mean? The number 4, as we have seen, represents many fundamental aspects of Buddhism. The Four Noble Truths, the Four Pillars of Morality, the Four Directions, and the Four Stages of Awakening. So, following the light of the number 4 basically means 4 things. First of all, understand the nature of suffering and embark on the path that leads to its cessation. The Four Noble Truths teach us that suffering is an intrinsic reality of human existence, but that it is possible to overcome it through the path of enlightenment. The second thing we need to be careful about is living an ethical and compassionate life. And the Four Pillars of Morality offer us guidance for living a life based on respect for others and non-harm. Another important thing that the number 4 teaches us is to develop the qualities necessary for spiritual progress. The 4 directions, in fact, represent the 4 essential qualities for awakening: discipline, compassion, wisdom, and love. And again, persevere on the path of awakening. The 4 stages of awakening, in fact, show us the gradual path that leads to complete liberation from suffering and perfect enlightenment. Remember, dear pilgrims, that following the light of the number 4 does not simply mean memorizing these teachings, but putting them into practice in daily life. The elderly Master Akihito had warned. Following this light means being aware of our thoughts, words, and actions, and making choices that bring us closer to our true potential. Remember also, he continued, that each of us' spiritual journey is unique and personal. There is no pre-established path to follow. However, the teachings of Buddhism, and in particular the symbolism of the number 4, can offer us invaluable guidance along our journey. By following the light of the number 4, we can discover our true nature, free ourselves from suffering, and experience the lasting joy of enlightenment. Akiko's story, in essence, is a story of hope and inspiration. It shows us that we can all achieve enlightenment, regardless of our circumstances. One of the lessons to be learned from this story is to follow the light of the number 4 and let yourself be guided towards inner peace, joy, and wisdom. At this point in the video, take a moment and reflect on what following the light of the number 4 means to you. Ask yourself, what are the real challenges I encounter on my spiritual journey, and how can I improve by putting these teachings into practice? I remind you that a spiritual journey like this is a true process of evolution, awareness, and work on oneself.